Ahoy Sigma Spirits, men of great adventure and passion. This is Alex, aka Alejandro, aka Maxwell Bridgewater, aka Sigma Spirit. And today we're going to talk about adventure. We're going to talk about quests, journeys, rites of passages, all that good stuff. The inspiration for this video came from a comment I saw on an Elijah Long video. Now, this comment asked Elijah Long, what are some quests, what are some journeys that men, young and old, can embark on in order to transform, in order to evolve? And before I waited to see what Elijah Long would put out, what sort of content he would make about this, I decided I would make my own video, because this comment got me thinking long and hard about quests, my own life, my own journeys, life as a quest, and the future. What sort of quests and adventures would I go on in the future? I've gone on a lot of great quests. I've done a lot of cool things, and yet I feel like there's so much adventure waiting for me. And when I think of Sigma males, I think of men who are drawn to quests, men who are drawn to adventures. They live outside the social structure. They're magnetized by these journeys to other worlds, exploration, things like that. But there's one problem. Sigma men are introverted. And this can create a lot of problems, because introversion can lead you to staying inside your comfort zone. Men of high Sigma spirit may feel the call of adventure, travel to distant lands and quests, but they feel an introverted stiflement. Without the correct journey, the correct quest, adventure, this call to adventure can be stifled. And what happens when you stifle that kind of call? You stifle the masculinity part of the Sigma spirit. And I believe you will do so at great peril. So if you feel like you are silencing a call within you, then you could be doing great damage to yourself. And that's why I created this video. So I'm going to talk about my own journeys, my own quests, adventures, stories from my life, and things you might learn. And in the second part of this video, which we'll release at a later date, I'm going to get into my suggestions for what you can do as a rite of passage, a journey, a quest, adventure. So let's begin. You see, all men feel a call to a quest, a call to a journey, a call to some hard struggle, calls to rites of passages, things like that. For Sigma males, I call this the Sigma call. The Sigma call is feeling an urge to leave the social structure, leave that social hierarchy, stop spinning your wheels, and then to design your own quest. But as I said, this is very hard to hear for some people. There's two parts, really. One, it's hard to hear the call that it's time to leave that sort of comfortable social structure. And the second part is that it's hard to hear that you need to expand your comfort zone. Nobody wants to really hear that. The comfort zone is awesome. It's a great place, but it's where you will die eventually. And I think that Sigma males make things even worse for themselves because they start to view others. With introversion comes a lot of quiet judgment, a lot of quiet analysis of other people. And they might look around at some people with envy and jealousy. Sigma males might look at alpha males, and an immature Sigma male might look at an alpha male and wonder why things are so easy for him. Why is he so confident? I'll never be that confident. But here's the thing. An alpha male has confidence within his social structure. It's a very carefully crafted, orchestrated confidence. And for Sigma males, I'm sorry, but we just don't have that luxury. We ripped ourselves out of the social structure, intentionally or unintentionally, and now we're left to free fall. And sometimes we don't feel very confident. So when you receive the call, the Sigma call to adventure, a call to purpose, it might not come with a lot of confidence, but I assure you, it's the right move. There are no reasons to ignore the call. If you do so, it will be perilous to your life. Since as long as I can remember, I've been obsessed with great adventure. And as a kid, as an introvert, this manifested itself as escaping into movies and TV shows. Because when you're a kid, you can't just take a road trip or something like that on your own. While we traveled a lot, it was hard to express my sense of adventure. So when I felt like diving into adventure, I had a few options. But one of the easiest options was always TV and movies. And yet I learned a lot about life and adventure and journeys and masculinity through these movies and TV shows. I was also very blessed that my family would take us on family trips. We moved from California to New Jersey, and then we took another trip back and forth. And on those journeys, I learned a lot. It was a great adventure. We took one of those trips by train, and I'll never forget it. It really inspired me to live a life of adventure, even at a young age, at 4 years old, and then again at 7 years old. My dad liked to travel a lot, and he also liked adventure, so it was a natural consequence that the family would go on these trips. So we had a lot of camping trips and lots of long drives. But then there was also a part of my life where I spent a great deal of time alone as an introvert. My brother's a little older than I am, and that meant that we didn't really connect as children. We were in different phases. So when it was time to play, a lot of that playtime was by myself. And one of my favorite things to do when I was a kid, as a little young adventurer, was to go explore places. And we had a great big backyard where I grew up, and I would just spend my days exploring the backyard and creating these fantasy worlds inside. Then I went to college 8 hours away from my hometown, and I would do impulsive things to answer that call of adventure. I would do things like randomly drive 8 hours to go find the closest snow. Because I went to school at the beach, I would want to drive somewhere 8 hours away just so I could see snow. But then in my mid-20s, I received a call. I received the real Sigma call, the call to adventure, starting to understand myself more. And I moved to Asia. Specifically, I moved to Korea, and I spent 2 years there. And there were many quests within my time in Korea that I put myself through. I engaged in journeys to master my physical form. I remember I got in the best shape of my life at the end of those 2 years. And there were journeys and transformations in other areas as well. There were professional journeys, professional quests. I became a teacher, and it was my first real job, because before Korea, I had been working a very dead-end job, very blue-collar, no room for progression, and it was destroying me. And moving to Korea probably saved my life. And then there were the real adventurous adventures, where I would explore the city that I was in. I would explore Seoul. I would explore all over Korea. On top of that, there were spiritual quests. There were quests inside to master myself, personal development quests. When I was in Korea, that was the first time that I discovered NoFap. That was a whole new journey for me. And then there was the journey of going from a shy, introverted teenager who was not very good with girls to becoming better, to improving my social skills and learning to date the girls that I wanted to date. And this was a quest all on its own. And then when Korea finished, I went to Thailand, and I went there for one reason. I went there to train kickboxing. Thailand is home to Muay Thai, which is a badass martial art, and I think I'd wanted to do that since I was 7 or 8 years old, and I'd watched Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And so that journey was a milestone in my life. It was definitely a bucket list item in my life. And when I went to Thailand, I got very sick 2 times. I think I got dengue fever, I'm not sure. And what I wanted it to be was this awesome time where I became really good at kickboxing. But instead, there were times in Thailand where I was kind of not necessarily fighting for my life, but I was trying to heal myself and get back to good health. So sometimes in life, we have these adventures we embark on, and they change shapes. They become something else, and we sort of have to just flow. We have to go with it. In 2014, I returned home to live with my parents. I was 27 at the time, and I wanted to spend a short time with them because I had just been traveling for about 2.5 years. And I ended up going down a weird path in life, and I sort of got stuck there. And during that time, I was doing hard physical labor. We had to put up these giant tents, And we had very little equipment, and these tents were used for 200, 300 people weddings, and it was very, very physical. And that ended up being a quest that I never thought I would go on. And it was the quest to learn how to be manly, to sort of integrate that masculinity and that work. When those two came together, it was a great transformation time in my life. But it wasn't a quest that I thought I would endure. It wasn't something I set out to embark on. But looking back, it was certainly some sort of adventure, some sort of journey I had to go on. And then after that, I decided I was going to move to Taiwan. And that took me a long time to get there. I decided a year before, and it took me about a year to prepare and get everything in order. And that was a journey. That was another quest. And that was sort of the achievement of a specific goal quest, similar to starting a business or completing a marathon, something like that. You have a grand vision of what you want to do, and you spend many months getting there. It's not a physical quest where you're necessarily embarking on a journey somewhere. For me, it was, because I was going to Taiwan. But the actual act of getting that plane ticket was a lot more emotional and more of a mental quest than it was a physical quest. And then when I was in Taiwan, I started working in places that I thought I would never work, and I took jobs that I thought that were actually above me, and they ended up being journeys in themselves, journeys toward becoming a better worker and journeys toward becoming more confident in a workplace and being able to lead people. And those themselves were very difficult. And again, they weren't things that I thought I would endure. I also traveled a lot around Taiwan, and I ended up starting entrepreneurship when I was in Taiwan. And so I was about 30 years old. And entrepreneurship is a journey. It's very, very difficult. And I find that there's no amount of transformation or growth I could learn from going somewhere, from traveling somewhere, from seeing this country, than I could from what I did when I started my first business. And I've had so many failures along the way, but it has been a journey. It's been an adventure, and it's been very difficult. And I think that if you're looking for a quest, you're looking for an adventure, what you really want is something difficult. I think there's a masculine side of you that wants a challenge. And I think any person can just go to the Mediterranean and take a picture and put it up on Instagram and say that they've been on a quest. But not many people can be challenged and get through it. And yet, after all that, and there have been many stories that I haven't told, there have been times when I just decided to walk 20 or 30 kilometers in a day. There have been times when I woke up on a Saturday and said, I'm going to bike 60 kilometers, and just decided quests for myself in the moment. And if I want to hike this mountain, I just went and did it. And I didn't tell those stories because there are a lot of them. And there are things that I still feel like I haven't done. I do feel like adventure is very important for every man. And without adventure, I think that the Sigma spirit dies a little bit. So in the next video, I'm going to tell you some quests that you can take, some journeys, some adventures you can embark on, which I think will help your soul, which I think will help your Sigma spirit, and it will help your masculinity a lot. So stay tuned for the next video. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss part 2 of the Sigma Spirit Adventures, Quests, and Journeys. Thanks for watching.